Hello everybody, this is Monstertaming coming at you with another Kindred Fates arena breakdown video. Just the last one of the series until we get the new arena in undisclosed amount of time. This is Riverside. A little bit infamous for being glitchy and laggy for some people, but I overall think it's the most beautiful and a really fun arena. So first things first, we'll talk about the spawns. You can spawn in two places in Riverside. You can spawn over there by those rocks or over here in the forest. Both of them have their advantages and disadvantages. First off, you're generally speaking, you're going to want to, like, your opponent's probably going to run at you. And if they do, you can do stuff like this if you have a shovelet out and helps slow them down. You got to watch out for the infamous Inku airdrop because they will, if you see someone with a slifer bounce up into the air, you have to back away or there's going to be in-bear probably flying into your face and killing you. If your opponent decides to trade and you agree to the trade, you can kind of use this tree as a little bit of cover. You can even run farther back if you want, if you're okay with your opponent getting a little closer to you and be like this and this. You use the forest as cover. These smaller trees are in kind of awkward positions and a little bit more difficult to deal with, but these two trees right here will do you good. So let's move on over here and show you what you have when you're on this side. See, we spawn in here, you can see roughly right there was about where I just was where you spawn in. So you have two options. You can start trading, dip behind this rock, use it as cover, wait for your opponent to come to you, or you can start rushing them. If you rush them, you have essentially no cover. I think the good thing about this is if you decide to stay here, your opponent literally cannot hit you behind this rock unless they get close. And you have to move up like this, if you want cover, or what I generally recommend is you just straight up rush them. If you just rush them spamming basic attack as you run up, they'll probably force them to take cover. They might panic, fall back, and you can zigzag and dodge one way or the other as you move up, and it'll make it hard for the opponent to actually make any connection with you while you're running up. But overall, it's not easy to cross the river. So, for general tactics, this rock often gets fought around quite a bit. You can take cover behind this with smaller kinfolk, like Shovelet can hide back here behind this. You're really going to spend most of your time around this rock. Your enemy can be down here and they'll be taking cover. You can run over this, start shooting at them, especially if they try to run. You can get a lot of shots at them if they start returning fire and you feel like you need to. You can just run back here, take cover. If they're kiting around the rock, this is generally the best to do, I think, is you do it like this rather than going the whole 9 yards around it. Unless you're playing a small kinfolk like Shovelet or Kaduki, then you can maybe get a little bit more use. If they are kiting, you can just throw down something like a caustic cloud right there will break the loop. Or if you have Scorch will break the loop much easier. Shovel it, of course, and just do something like this, and then if they try to run out into the field, you can drop them down and you punish that. Overall, the rock is more about mind games. If you ever play Dead by Daylight, it's kind of like a loop in Dead by Daylight where you have to mind game your opponent and try to catch them off guard. Especially if they come back here and they try to be cheeky with a heal or a buff. You can generally pull it off. Like, if your opponent doesn't have a slifer, you can get this off before they get here. So that's something to keep in mind. But if they're over there at the spawn, I mean. This little area is like the only patch in Riverside that it basically works just like Forest, where you're going to have to dodge and be aggressive and try to go in for the kill. Or the only difference is if it's unlike Forest, you can run away. Like if you feel like you can't take them, you can dig with like a shovelet, go back here, you can pop up around here, and then they have to come over here and engage you. You can dash away, you can teleport away, you can disengage. But otherwise, you just got to be really aggressive if you choose to fight in this open plain or just on the river itself. So this little hill can be a little bit more difficult. This hill and log, I'll consider them like the same part. If you're playing as somebody, you're like over here and they're up there, it'll be like there's a point where they kind of get just out of your range. Like my basic attacks can't quite hit up there, at least not easily. So that's something to consider. If you're fighting someone who's down here in the river, you can shoot at them, run back, and they will have to follow you if they want to engage. If you see someone at the other end of the river and you have a small kinfolk, it doesn't really work. But like Lumala, see, Lumala can kind of get hit over it. It does provide a little bit of cover because like this branch has collision. But if I'm playing a shovelet, they're not going to be able to hit me. I can pop a rest or pop a buff if you want to try to, as long as they're playing a slower kinfolk and they're a decent distance away from you. Something like an Ember or a Skulkin can still punish you. Lumala can't really punish you if you try, but Slifer, Ember, Skulkin, Shovelet, all of them can punish unless you do this while they're basically over there where the Ember is right now. As for fighting inside the forest of Riverside, this little tree right here, you can get a lot of work around it because it's kind of hard to see beyond it because it's so thick. So if you come back here, you get your back pushed up against it. They're coming at you. You can poke your head out, shoot back and forth, run down, play around the logs a little bit, and so on and so forth. If you're getting chased and pushed back, you have options. You can run along this side here. They'll be shooting at you, but you have this tree. You can eventually get to this tree for some cover, this tree for cover, you know, and these trees back here. You can kind of be sneaky and try to get a buff off behind this tree. You see it more or less covers you, but they'll probably see you doing it. But it's definitely better than trying to do it behind one of these trees. If you try to buff behind one of these trees, even when they're over there, they're probably going to be able to get to you and stop you because you don't have quite as much cover as the other rock gives you. Now, another thing about these trees is they're not foolproof. Like, you can throw a caustic cloud around them, you can throw a scorch around them much easier than you can that rock. We're about to shift over to the other side, and I'll kind of show you what I mean in just a moment. So as you see, I can throw a caustic cloud over that rock, but I have to be close. Like, I can't like kind of pivot it around. Like, if somebody gets really behind the rock, like if I'm coming up on it, I'm like, oh crap, I throw this, it's not going to hit somebody who's standing like right here. If they see me coming, they can move over to the side a little bit, but that's not the case with these trees. If I throw this right on the tree, you see it'll cover the entire tree and the base of the tree, and you can kind of a little bit put it around it, like right here for example, and that covers the vast majority of the tree. If they didn't see you, if they were standing like anywhere behind this tree taking cover, they'd be hit by it. Same thing with you know, quicksand. You put the quicksand like inside the tree like that, center it on any of these trees you want, and you'll push them back. The difference between these two sides is that rock is way better cover, but the forest gives you more options and you can keep moving. If they take out one tree, if I put quicksand on this tree, you could always run over to the log, to this bushy tree, maybe over to these trees. Or if they're coming at you from the rock side, you can run back, take up behind this tree. You could start moving towards this way, start moving towards, you know, this bushy tree over here with this log. You have options on this side. None of your options are as good as this one over here, because you can take full cover behind this, and if you're a small kinfolk, and even kind of like Slifer a little bit here, you can take like partial cover, if not full cover, behind this, and you just have less options. If they get behind there, you have to kite them or run. So those are the main differences. This little rock right here can be used as cover. Like if they're up there, you can maybe sneak a buff in, but you have to be extremely careful, because while they're not going to be able to hit you from up here, it's not that hard to just come right around the corner and smack you if they're close. And this is like in the dead center of the map, so you're not gonna, like, the farthest they would ever be is like back here, but for the most part, if your opponent sees you coming up, they're probably not gonna run back there until you're already up on the hill with them. So you could try to, you know, fake them out and run and maybe throw down, like if I'm coming at them on a shovelet, you could run up, throw down something like this, do a little bit of this, and then, you know, maybe that makes them retreat. You pull in a sneaky rest or a sneaky buff, but it's generally going to be more risk than it's worth, because you can only do it with like Shovel It and Kadoki because the rock is so small, but it is something worth noting that can be done. I think I've done a rest there once or twice that has ended up winning me the game. So it's all about situational awareness and knowing when you want to do it and when you don't want to do it. But I think that covers more or less all the basic ideas behind Riverside combat. And with that, that ends this series on the different arenas. I'll see you guys again whenever we get the new one and I've had some time with it. Hope you guys enjoyed this, something different. And if you did, please leave a like and a comment to let me know that you want to see more variety like this in the future, and leave any ideas you have for variety down in the comments below. Until next time, this is Monstertaming Bisloba signing off. Hope you have a wonderful day. Goodbye, God bless, and see you next time. Bye-bye.